The Philippines prepares to ship back over 60 containers of trash from Canada as transport ship docks in Subic, Zambales. The Angat Dam water level drops to lowest in 10 years despite days of rain. The Philippine Coast Guard acquires new rescue equipment which can help this rainy season. A pollution watchdog warns the public against buying school supplies containing toxic chemical substances. And the World Health Organization warns that e-cigarettes are not a proven alternative to cigarettes as it celebrates World No Tobacco Day on Friday. Good evening. The water level of Angat Dam is now in its lowest in the past 10 years in spite of the recent rainfalls. Ray Pelayo explains why.
The water level in Angat Dam in Bulacan continues to decrease in spite of the rains recorded in the past days. It is now at 169.63 meters as of 6 a.m. today, which is around 10 meters lower than the 180-meter minimum operating level of the dam. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, has said it is the lowest level recorded in the past 10 years. The weather agency sees the effect of the El Niño phenomenon as one of the factors in Angat Dam's depleting water level. The lowest level of Angat Dam was 159.56 meters recorded in July 2010.
For the past 10 years, ito yung halos pinakamababa niya.
National Water Resources Board Executive Director Sevillo David has said Angat Dam's allocation for Metro Manila's domestic use will be reduced to 46 cubic meters per second from the present 48 cubic meters per second. The cropping season in Bulacan and some parts of Pampanga may also be delayed until the level of Angat Dam reaches 180 meters. On the other hand, La Mesa Dam is also struggling with its current level and has not yet been distributing water.
Yung tubig sa La Mesa Dam hindi pa rin natin mapapakinabangan sa ngayon dahil hindi pa siya nakakarating sa level ng 69 and above na sana umabot siya doon sa intake.
The Bureau of Soil and Water Management continues to conduct cloud seeding operations in the area of Angat Dam's and La Mesa Dam's watersheds. Meanwhile, Angat Dam in Isabela will release allocation for irrigation on June 3 according to PAGASA. Ray Pelayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Philippine Coast Guard presents some of its acquired rescue assets to be used in the rainy season in the country. With these, immediate help can be expected by those who will be affected by the heavy rain and flood to come. April Sinadoza will tell us why.
57-year-old Ricardo Pilapil said that floodwater often enters his house in Barangay 483 Zone 48, Sampaloc, Manila when it rains. And when the storm is strong, his area experiences severe flooding.
Talagang lubog to pag bumaha. Lubog to. Agad doon po yan. Yan, may makikita kayo dyan. Mga tubig talaga.
As Filipinos brace for the rainy season, the Philippine Coast Guard or PCG will focus their operations on flood-prone areas with the use of their newly acquired equipment. These include rescue boats, watercraft, vehicles, and other equipment in preparation for the expected threats of typhoons that may hit the country this year. On Thursday morning, the agency presented at their national headquarters in Manila some of their rescue assets, such as 20 aluminum boats worth 16 million pesos and 20 jet skis worth 15.5 million pesos. The PCG also bought 180 units of Hilux vehicle, which will be used to pull rubber boats and aluminum boats in their rescue operations. They are also waiting for the arrival of 40 units of 12-meter boats.
Yung ating 12 meters na 40 units, ito yung ating part ng ating multi-purpose patrolya, rescue, and then anti-terrorist response capability.
The jet skis will be used for rescue operations in flood-prone areas and some tourist destinations in the country.
Even during rainy season naman, actually itong jet ski, pag flood, nagagamit to eh. No? pwede itong gamitin sa flood-prone areas. No? Kasi yung mas madali itong i-deploy. No? So, hindi lang sa beach areas but also sa mga flooded areas.
The PCG Special Operations Force will handle the new rescue assets and be augmented for the rainy season to beef up their capacity in conducting maritime search and rescue, maritime security and coastal patrol.
Ito namang unit nito dumaan ng quality control. So bago ito, actually may prototype tong sinusupply muna. At ito ay kina-quality control ng ating mga tao.
The PCG is expecting additional 73 units of rubber boats worth over 86 million pesos and 12 7-meter rigid hull inflatable boats worth over 142 million pesos. The budget for these assets is based on the General Appropriations Act. The PCG also revealed they did not seek financial help from other countries. With the PCG's new equipment, Ricardo Pilapil is hoping assistance will immediately arrive for those who will get stranded in their area when a typhoon hits. April Senedoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The container ship that will send back Canada's trash that illegally entered the Philippines in 2013 and 2014 is set to sail tomorrow to return the toxic waste to its origin. My Bermudez will tell us why.
MV Bavaria, the container ship set to ferry back Canada's waste illegally sent to the Philippines in 2013 and 2014, embarks in Subic, Zambales earlier this afternoon. 69 containers will be loaded to the vessel and will finally return to its country of origin.
This is a proud moment for us Filipinos because, this is a stand by the nation. It's a very strong message by the President that we will return the trash. At for SBMA po, obviously, it is relief.
Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority or SBMA vows they will be transparent in documenting the process of loading and unloading the container, as the media has been barred from covering the activity.
Huwag po tayo mag-alala, the process is very transparent. Ang Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority po has a documentation team inside the terminal. From start to finish po, this will all be recorded by both the teams from the Department of Foreign Affairs and from the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority to ensure that we have on record that all 69 containers have been loaded to MV Bavaria and will depart as soon as it's loaded.
They have waited for almost 6 years just to send back to Canada the trash that illegally entered the country. And as they celebrate for such a victory, the fight is not yet over for some environmental groups.
Kung 103 minus 26, yung dapat ibalik sa Canada. Kaya ang Eco Waste Coalition ay sumulat nitong Mayo lamang at in-invoke ang FOI para alamin nasaan ang 8 containers. Dahil sinasabi nyo 34 yung nai-dispose na.
Eco Waste Coalition calls on the government to ratify the Basel Amendment, which will tighten regulations and totally ban the entry of waste imports. For Greenpeace Southeast Asia, the government's decision to recall the Philippine ambassador to Canada is laudable. But still, we cannot help but question the government's sincerity.
Ang kailangan natin tanungin ay bakit ngayon lang, 6 na taon, ngayon lang kinuha, 'di ba? At nang ngayon na nagpapakita ng political will yung ating gobyerno, bakit hindi sila nagpakita noong 2016?
Meanwhile, Negros Oriental Representative Arnolfo Teves Jr. pushes for a no X-ray, no entry policy at the Bureau of Customs. At the House Committee on Metro Manila Development hearing earlier, Teves said the Bureau of Customs or BOC should tighten its policies.
In reality, 80% pass through our ports without us knowing what is really in there, other than what they say what is in there, right? Kung ano lang yung sinabi sa deklarasyon, hindi naman natin nakikita. I'm reiterating my suggestion of no X-ray, no entry policy.
It can be noted President Rodrigo Duterte warned Canada. Philippine representatives are also recalled from the country after its failure to abide by the May 15 deadline to repatriate its wastes. It is estimated to take 23 days before MV Bavaria reaches Delta Port in Canada. as it is set to have its stopover in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. The ship is registered in Liberia. My Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Subic Zambales.
Department of Education in Davao expects more than 1.3 million students enrolled for school year 2019 to 2020 in the region. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
Over 1.3 million students are expected to go back to school in private and public schools in the Davao region on June 3. According to Department of Education or DepEd Region 11 spokesperson Janelito Atilio, more than 110,000 pupils will attend kindergarten. Over 618,000 are incoming 1st to 6th graders, around 400,000 junior high school, and more than 107,000 senior high school in public schools. While almost 200,000 kindergarten to senior high school students are expected to welcome school year 2019 to 2020 in private schools in the region. DepEd Region 11 assures there are enough facilities and teachers to accommodate this number of students.
We will only be catering to a small amount or small number of learners. And so by saying that, our facilities can also appropriately respond to this number that we have projected.
Meanwhile, the Davao City local government reports it has built more than 80 new classrooms in the city since 2016. According to Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, they are targeting to add more classrooms in the years to come.
Nag-worsen ang shortage tungod sa kindergarten, grade 7 ug sa senior high school. So mao nang gaapas ta karon sa ato ang mga facilities para dili ma-disrupt ang pag-eskwela sa mga bata tungod sa K-12.
Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue, Davao City.
Tobacco use continues to claim lives a year, the World Health Organization said in a call for faster action from governments to tackle smoking and the enormous health and economic costs it entails. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
Tobacco kills 8 million people each year, the World Health Organization or WHO warned ahead of World No Tobacco Day on Friday. WHO said 40% of tobacco victims die from lung diseases and about 1 million from secondhand smoke. More than 60,000 children under 5 years old die of lower respiratory infections caused by secondhand smoke, WHO Director for Non-Communicable Diseases Vinayak Prasad said in a briefing. Globally, there are around 1.1 billion people smokers.
These figures have stayed constant for the last couple of years. But out of these 8 million, we have about 3.3 million, about 40% of these deaths due to lung diseases. Now, what are these lung diseases? Cancers, chronic respiratory diseases, and even tuberculosis.
Anti-tobacco campaigns and measures are bearing fruit, but mostly in high-income countries, Prasad said, while the smoking population remained constant or even increased in low-income countries, where the tobacco industry is now focusing sales efforts. Prasad issued a caveat on e-cigarettes saying there is no evidence proving they were a safer alternative to cigarettes, warning that it normalizes smoking and hooks young people.
On the contrary, we are seeing that in countries that have been very liberal with electronic cigarettes, the use of ends is very common amongst youth, actually more than 2 times what conventional cigarettes is. So basically there's a perception that these are safe products, and it's actually hitting the market and the group which is most vulnerable, children, teenage children.
WHO recommends that e-cigarettes be subjected to the same guidelines as for tobacco products, meaning non-smokers should be protected from secondhand smoke, pregnant women should be prohibited from using them, and advertising content must be regulated.
The claims that these are less harmful, we don't know. There's no evidence to demonstrate that. And therefore, we follow the precautionary principle. Take precautions, treat them as tobacco products, and regulate them the way that you regulate for other products.
Earlier this week, more than 100 public health and anti-tobacco organizations called on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to take swift action to curb advertising of tobacco products on their platforms after a Reuters report documented how cigarette maker Philip Morris International has used young personalities on Instagram to sell a new heated tobacco product called IQOS. Beverly Sison, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
Presidential spokesperson and chief presidential legal counsel confirms that President Rodrigo Duterte has allowed to auction off one of the 3 jewelry collections of former First Lady and outgoing Ilocos Norte Representative Imelda Marcos. The Hawaii collection, under the safekeeping of Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, is worth 704.8 million pesos. But the recovered ill-gotten wealth assets, the 3 jewelry collections, all in all amount to 1.81 billion pesos.
Sabi ni Presidente kagabi, gusto niya na makinabang ang taong bayan doon sa mga jewelries. So tinanong ko siya, are you going to give your go signal to sell? Yes.
Majority of the incumbent senators say they are not interested to replace Senator Vicente Soto III as Senate President. Nel Marie Buhok will tell us why.
New Congress, new lineup of lawmakers. On July 22, 2019, as the 18th Congress opens, the change of leadership in both the lower house and upper house is imminent. In the Senate, neophyte senators are coming. These are Ronald Bato de la Rosa, Christopher Bongo, Amy Marcos, and Francis Tolentino. They are included in the hugpong ng pagbabago PDP bloc in the upper chamber. Aside from the issue on committee chairmanship, it has been reported that some personalities will push for the Senate presidency of Senator Cynthia Villar. But most of the incumbent senators have already expressed their support to the retention of leadership of Senate President Vicente Soto III.
I think Senator Soto will keep the chairman, the Senate presidency.
Even Senator Villar expressed her contentment with Senator Soto and declared she is not interested in the post. It can be noted that Senator Soto had stated that he has the support of the incoming senators. According to the senator, the support of the majority is always important for the Senate presidency post.
The Senate presidency is always at the pleasure of the members of the majority.
Despite the issue of the change of leadership, the Senate President sees Senators Panfilo Lacson and Franklin Drilon as his possible successor. Nel Marie Buhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The economic growth of 17 regions in the country remained robust in 2018, according to the National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA's report. Among the regions, Bicol posted the highest growth rate last year at 8.9%. This is followed by Davao Region and Mimaropa, both at 8.6%. However, the regions with the lowest growth rates are those with the fastest population growth, such as Caraga, Cagayan Valley, and the National Capital Region, based on the report.
Poor regions must catch up fast, as widening disparities may be more a result of high rate of population growth in some regions than poor economic performance per se. Stakeholders, especially local government units, must also support the government's family planning and reproductive health program.
Senator Panfilo Lacson questions the anti-corruption campaign of the Duterte administration because of the Bureau of Customs. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
May I just assure you that during my time, I said there will be no corruption. And every Japanese investor in my country, however small or however big, I can assure you that if there is any complaint regarding hindrances, obstruction, or outright corruption, let me know. And you can ask an audience with me in 24 hours, and I will talk to you. and just let me know what your problem is, and we will kill that problem.
This is the assurance of President Rodrigo Duterte in front of Japanese businessmen and prospect investors when he attended the business forum in Tokyo yesterday. However, despite President Duterte's promises that there will be no corruption under his term, Senator Panfilo Lacson has questioned the administration's anti-corruption campaign in a privileged speech on May 29. Senator Lacson also slammed the appointment of dismissed former Manila International Container Port Collector Vener Bakiran, who has been promoted to a higher position, the Bureau of Customs or BOC Deputy Commissioner. The lawmaker tagged Bakiran as one of the bad men of the BOC's TARA system and added that he is also among those being investigated by authorities on the 6.8 billion pesos worth of shabu shipment through 4 magnetic lifters in Cavite in 2018. Aside from this, Lacson also pointed out in his privileged speech that corruption among customs officials is business as usual since illegal drugs continuously slips into the country, including the 1 billion pesos worth of shabu seized in an operation in Malabon last week. The senator also questioned the Customs Bureau as well as the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency for auctioning off the illegal shabu shipment to the public to discover the possible members of the drug syndicates in the country.
The Bureau averred that it deliberately placed the shipment containing illegal drugs for auction, which was later bidded out and won by Goldbean Commercial. Let's assume for a while that we are buying their story. Question is the BOC legally allowed to subject prohibited goods to public sale or auction?
And though it has been 2 years since he exposed the TARA system in the BOC, yet it has not been suppressed, he said. The senator clarified Customs Commissioner Ray Leonardo Guerrero is not tainted with corruption, but his leadership has not resolved the corruption in his bureau.
For the office of the commissioner, an average of 5,000 pesos per container plus 10% of the collections of each section or office directly under OCOM, or Office of the Commissioner, 3,000 for intelligence group, 1,000 to 2,000 pesos for the enforcement group, 3,000 pesos for the risk management office, and 2,000 to 3,000 pesos for the import and assessment service or IAS. Kung kani-kanino napupunta ang nasabing mga TARA for his office or the Office of the Commissioner, I will leave it to General Guerrero to investigate and find out.
The palace has yet to react to the latest pronouncement of Senator Lacson. Rosa Licoz, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
No destabilization plot against President Rodrigo Duterte will succeed without the help of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. AFP spokesperson Brigadier General Edgardo Arevalo stands firm that any group who seeks military support to oust the president will not succeed. Lea Ilagan explains why.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, has not monitored any destabilization plot to oust President Rodrigo Duterte. This despite a matrix that Malacanang released this month pointing out that some media personalities are allegedly involved in an ouster plot. AFP spokesperson Brigadier General Edgar Arevalo said the president has been gaining a higher satisfaction rating and the Filipinos continue to believe in him. He also pointed out that no destabilization plot will materialize without the help of the military.
Na walang magtatagumpay na anumang balakin na tanggalin sa pwesto ang isang nakaupong Pangulo sapagkat kung titingnan natin ang kasaysayan, hindi lamang sa ating bansa kundi sa buong mundo, walang isa pa mang nangyari na forced takeover ng isang pamahalaan nang hindi sinalihan o hindi tinalikuran ng miyembro ng armed forces.
The AFP remains professional, mature, and loyal to the Constitution, so the military will never join in any ouster plot against the president.
Na masasabi natin na natuto na sa napakaraming karanasan natin na wala namang may dulot na mabuti in terms of trying to replace the leadership by force. And besides, sa ngayon, napakaganda ng itinatakbo ng ng ating bansa at nakikita po natin na ang AFP dapat ang focus is on defeating the enemies of the state and not an overthrow of government.
Arevalo stands firm. The AFP will not give any support to any group who wants to oust the president. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, for his part, has earlier said there is no ouster plot against President Duterte. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
Quezon City Mayor-elect Joy Belmonte, Vice Mayor-elect Gian Soto, actor and TV host Willie Revillame, and others are facing complaints over vote buying. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas ng Bayan or PDP Laban Secretary General Edwin Rodriguez and Campaign Manager Mike Defensor arrived at the office of the Commission on Elections or COMELEC at past 9 a.m. today. They went straight to the Pool Buddies Law Department to file vote-buying complaints against Quezon City Mayor-elect Joy Belmonte, Vice Mayor-elect Gian Soto, actor and television show host Willie Revillame, and others. The complaint stems from Revillame's alleged distribution of money during Belmonte's campaign rally last May 11 in Roosevelt Avenue area. Attached with Rodriguez and Defensor's complaint are screenshots of the video stream showing Revillame giving away money to the audience during Belmonte's campaign rally.
Yung video na present namin as evidence, hindi po galing sa amin ho yan. Yan po ay nakuha po namin sa account ni Joy Belmonte.
Tingnan natin kung yung magiging desisyon ng COMELEC dito because this will, I think, open the floodgate or at least stop kung ano man yung situation ng vote buying in our country, which, again, based on reports, all over at talagang massive.
According to both Rodriguez and Defensor, although Belmonte and Soto did not personally distribute the money to the public, the act can still be considered as vote buying. They added it can be seen on the video that the two were on the stage when Revillame was distributing the money.
Ito ba ay dapat tularan? Ito ba ay inaalaw natin, no? Magbe-benefit dito yung Pilipinas, yung taong bayan. At para maiwasan kung talaga ito ay bawal, then dapat should be a landmark case.
According to Jimenez, if proven that the winning candidates are involved in vote buying, they will be disqualified and be replaced by the candidates with the most number of votes next to them.
First of all, the giving must be proven. Right? It must be proven that the giving was done, that the giving was for the purpose of soliciting votes, and then it must be proven that the candidate himself approved of that or knew that it was going to be done in his behalf.
On the other hand, according to Belmonte's spokesperson Pia Morato, Revillame did it of his own accord. Belmonte's camp also insisted that the campaign rally had already been finished when Revillame performed and distributed the money coming from his own pocket. COMELEC will start the preliminary investigation on the complaint next week, Jimenez said.
If a candidate has already become a sitting official, due to proclamation, and a disqualification, a vote buying case has been filed against him, then the order of succession kicks in.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
An environmental and children's health advocacy group warns consumers over school supplies that contain toxic chemicals sold in local market as the opening of classes approaches. Joe Anano tells us why.
Mary Jane Cartaño has yet to buy school supplies for 2 children, though the opening of classes is on Monday, June 3. Jane said they're still waiting for the instruction of her children's school as to what school supplies the school children must have. Instead of buying in Divisoria, Jane prefers to shop in a nearby supermarket in their area.
Dahil syempre po, budgeted tayo. Sa mga malapit lang pong supermarket po dito sa amin. Kasi kesa po pupunta pa po kami ng Divisoria, pagod po, siksikan doon, pamasahe pa. So hindi naman po nagkakalayo.
Environmental advocacy group Eco Waste Coalition advises parents to beware of school supplies with toxic chemical contents. As the group made rounds in several public markets in Quiapo, Manila, Makati, and Divisoria, they found out that several school supplies that contain toxic chemicals are being sold in the market. Out of 87 items, 34 tested positive for containing toxic chemicals such as lead and cadmium above levels of concern. Those items use colorful paint. According to Eco Waste Coalition, these toxic chemicals are very harmful to human health.
For example, dun sa lead, kung pintura ito, may pagkakataon mabakbak ito, hawak-hawak na ng mga anak natin, sumama doon sa kanilang mga kamay, kumain sila, sumubos o ingestion na kaagad. So, sa ganung pagkakataon talaga may expose talaga yung ating mga anak.
Based on the data from the World Health Organization, lead and cadmium are in the list of 10 chemicals of major public health concern. They can destroy our neurological, gastrointestinal, cardiovascular, and other body systems. Lead, a hazardous substance linked to learning and behavioral problems, is prohibited in the production of school supplies as per DER Administrative Order 2013-24 or the Chemical Control Order for Lead and Lead Compounds. The Eco Waste Coalition will submit the sample of toxic school supplies to the Food and Drug Administration and urge the agency to conduct inspection and confiscate of those items. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
28-year-old South African runner, two-time Olympic champion Caster Semenya files an appeal against the court's ruling on her natural testosterone levels. Meanwhile, the coaches of both the Golden State Warriors and the Toronto Raptors, who will meet at the NBA Finals, say it's a different vibe this time around. Ferdy Petali will tell us why.
Caster Semenya has appealed against the Court of Arbitration for Sport or CSS decision to uphold testosterone regulation for some female athletes in track and field. The two-time Olympic 800-meter champion's lawyers say she has lodged an appeal with the Swiss Federal Tribunal, Switzerland's Supreme Court. Semenya stands firm that the IAAF cannot stop her from being who she is. Under the IAAF's new rules, upheld by the Switzerland-based CIS this month, Semenya is not allowed to run in international races from 400 meters to 1 mile unless she medically lowers her natural testosterone levels. Elsewhere, Britain's Queen Elizabeth and Prince Harry greeted the captains of the teams competing in the 2019 Cricket World Cup in London on Wednesday, local time. The players attended a reception at Buckingham Palace on the eve of the tournament's kick-off. England takes on South Africa at the Oval in London in Match 1 on May 30th. And in basketball, it's final. The Golden State Warriors and the Toronto Raptors will meet at the NBA Finals beginning May 30th Eastern Time.
So it's a different vibe. It's a different feeling. It's exciting. It's great for the game.
For us, it's a great opportunity to go out and, just give her 110% and figure it out.
This is what we dream of. Every day you come to work, this is it, and it's overwhelming.
It's still the same. It's the same basketball game. It's 5-on-5. Still two hoops. So you just got to go out there and play hard and live with the results.
Ferdy Petalio, UNTV News and Rescue.
Be it raining cats and dogs or in the middle of a typhoon, Filipinos are naturally happy. Watch some funny and annoying scenes of some Filipinos during heavy rains and flood as Monokson reports.
The rainy season is almost here. And when there is rain, our problem with floods and various diseases are also just around the corner. But these are not a hindrance to be happy in the middle of a natural calamity for some Filipinos. Here are some of the funny and quite annoying scenes during the rainy season. Heroic boyfriends are cool. We salute all of you for your courageous act to go into the flood and be the knight in the shining armor, just to make sure your girl won't get wet. All we can say is, oh no, you slipped. Another example of an honorable act. Oops, the woman got washed away by the raging flood water. Some Filipinos have missed the summer break. That's why they took advantage of the flood to enjoy. Funny but annoying. Please take note that you might get sick because of what you do. Please don't imitate or try this at home. This lad paddled in the flood like an Olympic swimmer. This group danced to the beat of buduts while submerged in flood water. While these ones won't be left behind. Go boys! This guy managed to use goggles and swam in the flood on the street. That's dirty. When you're trapped at home and have got nowhere to go, there's no other way but to dive. This man pretends to be in a jacuzzi. You will be surprised with this. A tricycle is running on the street without anyone in the driver's seat. The reason is the driver is in the passenger seat because it's raining. Seriously, this is not even funny. It's annoying. The driver chose to stay dry in exchange for the possibility of endangering someone else. These are some of the funny and annoying scenes during the rainy season. But always remember that having fun is not worth falling sick or getting involved in an accident during these times. Monhok Son, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Philippines takes part in the largest tech startup show in Taipei, Taiwan. Amiel Pascual will tell us why.
25 countries showcased their respective innovations in the biggest tech exhibit in Asia, Innovex 2019, happening at the Taipei World Trade Center. A total of 11 startups are representing the Philippines in the three-day event, specifically in utilizing artificial intelligence or AI, machine learning, cybersecurity, smart advertising and e-commerce, education, and housing solution, among others. In cooperation with the Manila Economic and Cultural Office or MECO and the Philippine Trade and Investment Center Taipei, startups in the Philippines have been given the opportunity to introduce their products to the international market and promote Filipino capability and strength in the field of information technology or IT.
Activities like this will further broaden our understanding and our appreciation of the startup ecosystem, and hopefully we will learn to create our own products for the rest of the world to actually use.
Dito kasi napapakita natin sa hindi lang sa Taiwan industry, kundi sa buong mundo yung kagalingan ng Pilipino sa IT. Mga startups ito, ibig sabihin, mga karamihan nakikita mo puro bata, mga nag-uumpisa ng negosyo, pero ang puhunan talaga nila ay yung kanilang talino, yung kanilang galing, yung creativity. Doon naman napakagaling ng Pilipino .
So we're trying to show that the Philippines is also a hub of technology and innovation, and especially startups that can really succeed all over with our immense talent and innovation.
The Philippines first joined the annual Innovex competition in 2018 when its representative brought home a $70,000 prize. The competition will proceed to the next level on Friday, May 31, when the Philippines will take the center stage along with France, Poland, and Canada for the Global Demo Day. The event also serves as a gathering of international investors and corporations who are potential sponsors for startups to take their innovations to a greater height. Amiel Pascual, UNTV News and Rescue, Taipei, Taiwan.
And for the news abroad, here's Kath Dumaraos live from Bangkok, Thailand. Kath, good evening.
Good evening, William. Special Counsel Robert Mueller said in a rare public statement his investigation could not clear President Donald Trump and that charging the president was not an option his office could consider. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
U.S. Special Counsel Robert Mueller said on Wednesday his investigation into Russia's interference in the 2016 election was never going to end with criminal charges against President Donald Trump, and that he would give no more information than was already published in his report. In his first public comment since starting the investigation in May 2017, Mueller said Justice Department policy explicitly prevented him from bringing charges against a sitting president.
Charging the president with a crime was therefore not an option we could consider.
Mueller announced his resignation from the Justice Department. A redacted version of Mueller's report was published in April, concluding that Russia repeatedly interfered in the 2016 election and that Trump's election campaign had multiple contacts with Russian officials but did not engage in a criminal conspiracy with Moscow to win the White House. Mueller's report also declined to make a judgment on whether Trump obstructed justice, although the report outlined 10 instances in which Trump tried to impede the investigation.
If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime.
He said the 448-page report spoke for itself. Trump, who has repeatedly denounced Mueller's probe as a witch hunt, said the matter was settled. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton responded to Mueller's breaking his silence on the Russia investigation during her commencement speech at Hunter College's graduation ceremony in New York City on Wednesday. She cautioned that more attacks on U.S. elections are to come and urged graduates to take an active role in preventing such incidents.
There were multiple systemic efforts to interfere in our election, and that allegation deserves the attention of every American. But what we've seen from the administration is the complete refusal to condemn a foreign power who attacked our democracy or to take even the most basic steps to protect our voting systems for the future, despite the fact that all of the professionals who study this say more attacks are coming.
Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
At least 7 people have died and 19 are missing after a boat capsized on the Danube River in Hungary's capital, Budapest. 33 people, mostly tourists from South Korea, were on board the boat when it was hit by another vessel while moored. South Korea's foreign ministry confirmed that 19 Koreans were missing and said the government planned to send a team of officials to Hungary, adding that counseling would be made available to victims' family. Johnson & Johnson, one of the world's largest drug manufacturers, has gone on trial in a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit by the U.S. state of Oklahoma. Kat Carriedo explains why.
Gail Box vividly remembers the day in May 2011 when she first learned her 22-year-old son, Austin, a University of Oklahoma linebacker, was abusing opioid painkillers. It was the day he died of an overdose. In a few months, he had gone from taking pills prescribed for a back injury to illicitly obtaining more of the addictive drugs from acquaintances.
He went into the hospital for some pain management, and I think that's when he first used opioids. The last day I saw him was the day he graduated from the University of Oklahoma. That day, one of his coaches, Brent Venables, came up to him and said, "Austin, how's it going?" And he said, "Oh, Coach, living the dream, just living the dream." But unfortunately, Austin was living a nightmare, the nightmare of prescription drug abuse, prescription opioids to be exact.
The question of why painkillers flooded into Oklahoma and the rest of the country will be the central issue in a trial beginning Tuesday in Norman, Oklahoma. Out of 3 drug makers initially included in the legal action, Only representatives of Johnson & Johnson are set to appear in court to deliver their opening statements at the start of the first trial. The lawsuits by state and local governments seek to hold the J&J and other companies responsible for a drug abuse epidemic that the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says led to a record 47,600 opioid-related overdose deaths in 2017. Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter alleges J&J, along with OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma LP and Teva Pharmaceutical Industries, carried out deceptive marketing campaigns that downplayed opioids' addictive risks while overstating their benefits.
We intend to win the case. The multiple months of discovery, hundreds of depositions, millions of documents have convinced us even more that the proximate cause for the prescription opioid epidemic in our state are companies who marketed fraudulently the addictive qualities of the drug over 2 decades, in many cases knowing that there was a high probability that patients would become addicted, but focusing on, tragically, profits as opposed to people.
J&J denies wrongdoing, arguing that its marketing efforts were proper and that the state cannot prove it caused the opioid epidemic given the role doctors, patients, pharmacists, and drug dealers played. Box said she believes greed in the pharmaceutical industry caused the epidemic. Box, whose husband Craig will testify, said she hopes the trial will be successful.
Nothing can bring my son back. You know, money means nothing to me personally, but money going to the right places, to research, to treatment, that can make a difference. And I'm hoping that that will be the outcome of these lawsuits.
Kath Carriedo, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Kat Dumaraos, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. A Massachusetts-based company unveils first flying vehicle powered by hydrogen fuel cells. Its maker aims for the hovercraft to be used in everyday commute, as it is unique but not exclusive. Kat Dumaraos will tell us why.
This is Sky. This is everyday air mobility, designed to take off and land just about everywhere and be accessible to everyone. This is Sky, and it's here today.
A mock-up of the futuristic aircraft dubbed Sky by its inventors was put on exhibit in Newbury Park, a suburb of Woodland Hills, north of Los Angeles. Engineering and avionics for the drone-like vehicle were developed by Alakai Technologies, a privately held company based in Massachusetts. BMW's Design Works unit contributed to the craft's design.
I think one of the immediate uses will be disaster relief, help over taking supplies and water out to areas, and we might be able to do that before we actually certified. It can be done autonomously or ground controlled. And then in the long run, it's for personal. So you have your own, you share that with maybe a couple of people if you want shared ownership. And that's our ultimate target, so it's mass transportation.
The company touts the Skycraft as a promising new zero-emissions mode of personal airborne transport.
It's a clean vehicle, meaning it has a hydrogen power, which is totally end-to-end clean energy. It's a low noise by this design of these rotors. It's capable of flying 4 or 5 passengers, depending upon whether you have a pilot or not.
For safety, they will be equipped with a redundant autopilot system, a propulsion design that can fly with a loss of at least one motor, and a parachute attached to the vehicle's airframe. Although FAA rules will require pilot operation, developers expect the vehicles ultimately will be flown autonomously by pre-programmed guidance systems. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
Star Wars fans may have only dreamed of what it would be like to travel to that galaxy far, far away, but that dream may become a reality. Abby Valdez will tell us why.
As we await the return of Star Wars to our screens with the rise of Skywalker, Disney are keeping us entertained by unveiling the first look at their new attraction, called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Disney's new theme park is set across 14 acres in Disney World's Hollywood studios. Analysts estimate Disney spent at least $1 billion to build two nearly identical versions of Galaxy's Edge. At Disneyland in Anaheim, California, workers relocated a river and a railroad to make room. The second location at Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida is set to debut August 29.
Well, the goal was to be ambitious, really ambitious, to be not only bold in terms of scale, though, but to be bold in terms of detail, artistry, technology, and to make sure, first and foremost, that we were pleasing the most ardent Star Wars fan. With that, we were also interested in and intent on making this accessible to all, whether you've seen a Star Wars movie or not, or if you have and you're not an avid fan, there's still a lot to do and a lot to see and a lot to enjoy.
Rather than choosing a setting from one film, the designers decided to build Black Spire Outpost, described as the largest settlement on a planet called Batuu that appeared in Star Wars books but never on screen. As the centerpiece, a replica of the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo's spaceship will take passengers on simulated flights with riders able to take the position of pilot, gunner, or engineer. The choices made will change the outcome of the ride. Another attraction, Rise of the Resistance, will open later and feature Rey and other characters from the current film trilogy. The team behind the park's development say they were inspired by Middle Eastern architecture from cities like Istanbul and Jerusalem when designing the Star Wars theme park. As well as the attractions and rides, there will be, of course, a number of restaurants and cafes, including Ronto Roasters and Oga's Cantina. A visit to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge doesn't come cheap though, as the studios put up their prices in January this year. A one-day one-park ticket will set you back $104 on a low-demand day, while regular and primetime visits on holidays and weekends, for example, will cost $149 a day.
Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, opening May 31st at Disney.
Abby Valdez, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news this May 30th, 2019. On behalf of Alex Baltazar and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo, and before we close, we will recap of today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
Sabi ni Presidente kagabi, gusto niya na makinabang ang taong bayan doon sa mga jewelries. So tinanong ko siya, are you going to give your go signal to sell? Yes.
This is a proud moment for us Filipinos because, we are, this is a stand by the nation. It's a very strong message by the President that we will return the trash.
Pero ang kailangan natin tanungin ay bakit ngayon lang? 6 na taon, ngayon lang kinuha, 'di ba? At nang ngayon na nagpapakita ng political will yung ating gobyerno, bakit hindi sila nagpakita noong 2016?
If a candidate has already become a sitting official, due to proclamation, and a disqualification, a vote buying case has been filed against him, then the order of succession kicks in. It has to do with acts committed during the campaign which caused this disqualification.
Just it's still the same. It's the same basketball game. It's 5-on-5. It's still 2 hoops. So you just got to go out there and play hard and live with the results.
For us, it's a great opportunity to go out and just give her 110% and figure it out.